Hello, I want you to think about a place you have always wanted to travel to. It can be as simple as a secluded area in the mountains to get away from the busy city life, or maybe a trip to the beach to feel the cool breeze and go for a swim on a hot summer weekend. You can also imagine something a little bigger, like traveling to another country to experience a different culture. Now think about, why don't you do these things more often, or if at all? Many Americans avoid traveling because of the stress and the cost of the three main parts for going on a trip: how to get there, where to stay, and what to do. Fortunately, if you plan ahead and use a few resources, those things can be much easier and cheaper. According to a study conducted by Google Consumer Surveys, in 2014, 63% of adult Americans did not travel for business or leisure at all. I've been living in Germany for about 2 years and have used these resources to travel locally on the weekends, as well as made a couple bigger trips to Croatia and Italy. Within this speech, I'm going to inform you on traveling via car or cheap flights such as Ryanair, using Airbnb to stay at unique places for cheap, and searching TripAdvisor to find the best things to do and places to eat. So first things first, are you packing the car or are you packing the suitcase? When deciding on how you're going to travel, it ultimately comes down to two choices: car or plane. For the most part, I always travel with my wife, and if it's possible, we prefer to travel by car for several reasons. The main reason is because anytime you have a group, the cost that everyone would pay for the plane ticket individually, it could all be put together and pay for gas for the car. This generally comes out to save everyone money in the end. Additionally, when you're traveling by car, you get the luxury of a scenic drive and possibly cross paths with some other attractions along the way. Lastly, you don't have the stress about getting to your flight on time or having certain packing restrictions. Well, the alternative to driving would then be flying. Flying does have the convenience of going further faster, which can result in more activities at your destination. Flying can also be stress-free for many people, since all you have to do really is show up on time with the proper baggage. There's no need to worry about traffic, rest stops, and etc. Finally, if you check online, you can be surprised how cheap flights can be. Throughout Europe, I use Ryanair because it's not uncommon to find a round-trip ticket for under $75. Do your research and book several weeks ahead of time. Now that you have a better idea on how you're going to get to your destination, probably the most important step is, where are you going to stay? Hotels are convenient, but often too expensive for my budget, which is why I choose to find a place to stay on Airbnb, where people generally rent out their own properties. Airbnb is my choice because there's always something for any budget. If you plan on staying for a while or you have a big group, you can easily find a whole house to stay at for the same cost of a single hotel room. If you're on a stricter budget, you can often find people renting out a room in their house, or even something crazy like a tree house or a tent in their backyard. This is still usually cheaper than staying at a campground, and you generally get full access to the person's house and their amenities. Airbnb also offers some pretty unique places to stay for a fun experience. For example, in the wintertime, it is not uncommon to find an igloo to spend the night in. Also, if you're headed to the coast, find an old ship or a boat on the water to rock yourself to sleep that night. Once you decide on an ideal place to stay, it's time to start filling in that schedule with awesome things to do and places to eat. TripAdvisor is probably the most known travel site for reviews and recommendations. When deciding on what to do, TripAdvisor is helpful in a couple ways. You can easily search to find all the top attractions near you to check out and visit. Also, if you're like me and you like to climb through the canyon, not just look at it, search for top tours and activities and book it through TripAdvisor directly. Finally, my favorite part, where to eat. And TripAdvisor always knows the best places. I'm sure almost everyone has seen the recommended by TripAdvisor signs on a lot of restaurants, but you gotta look out for the best restaurants that receive the yearly Certificate of Excellence award, and they generally display it proudly. In conclusion to this speech, we have explored multiple resources to use to help eliminate the stress of traveling, as well as be able to save money to travel more often. I challenge you to give Airbnb a try, and don't be one of those 65% that decides not to travel this year and never truly experience all the things that this wonderful world has to offer.